WNBA, I'm not that very interested in it, although I like profiting betting in it. And so they get thrown a lifeline. Here you go. Caitlin Clark, she is bringing all this revenue into the league. And then what's this? Petty jealousy, people smashing her, with these hard fouls. People on the bench, Angel Reese jumps up, cheering like. I mean, can you imagine? LeBron James jumped up. It is like so classless and shut up and play basketball and appreciate someone who's helping you and all your co-workers make lots more money.
This is Sharp Money with Patrick Meagher on VSiN, the sports betting network.
As we do, you can email a question. We've got a bunch in already, but you can get your question in. I just got a text from Will Hill, who wants me to ask a question to Fez from him. So we'll get those. Sharpmoney at VSiN.com. The structure's the same. Fez sent over his notes. We'll run through those. We'll get your questions in. And we've got a great question that Mike Somich brought up that he wanted to ask Fez as well. But we should start by saying, Fez, how are you?
I am excellent. I do have a weather advisory next 99 days in Vegas. It's going to be hot, Patrick.
It's going to be. Well, you're getting into that place where there's going to be 3 months, not just 100 or above, but close to 110 or above. That's Las Vegas.
Yeah, don't bring your kids here for vacation. Take them to Colorado or take them to Oregon or Washington or like upstate Michigan. Don't come here with your kids.
Okay, now I'm just going to run your notes, and you have fun, as you always do, and we'll start at the top. You simply said Vegas reviews.
Yeah, so I went a couple places. I went Atomic Golf. We were hitting the ball. It's by the Stratosphere on Main Street, behind the Stratosphere. Mixed review here. It's actually enormously fun, but we went at after dusk, and it was still toasty, around 88 degrees. No air conditioning. I think it's going to fail miserably. Any other time, you have to go on the 3 cool days of summer. So Atomic Golf is probably going to go out of business by September if they don't figure out how to get misters and air conditioning rooms and things. But other than that, really cool, Patrick. You hit the ball. It tells you how far it goes. You've got different games that you can play, targets to go for, because the ball has a chip in or whatever and tracks the ball. Really fun.
How did Johnny like it? Is he a golfer?
Well, Johnny hit yes, he's 13 and he hit a 149-yard drive. So he was just absolutely thrilled. That's the longest he's ever hit a ball. So, yes.
Now, you let us know that you're going to be playing in the Seniors Tournament, World Series of Poker. You wouldn't know it by looking at Steve, but I guess he does qualify. In your notes, you simply had World Series of Poker. Run with it.
Yeah, so no brainer. I try to play in the Seniors Tournament, but oftentimes I just get too busy. Now I qualify for the Super Seniors, which means I can play against even worse players that can't play a lick. If a Super Senior checks to you and you bet and he raises you, as sure as the sun's coming up tomorrow, he has flopped a set and he has you crushed. Fold your ace-queen, your queen 8-3 board. You're no good against that dude, against a young maniac. Who the heck knows? Hard to tell. So I love playing against the seniors. I did go over there today, played for about an hour, had a really fun table. So World Series of Poker up and running. For those who are not familiar, it's not just the main event. Each and every day there is at least one tournament that goes on, if not several, along with cash games. So really, it is a Vegas extravaganza that goes on about 5.5 weeks.
So for those nationally that may not know, Fez, can you let them know exactly what the event is, how long it lasts, and what it entails?
Yeah, so most events are 2 to 3 days and different buy-in amounts. The vast majority are no limit poker events. Today's a really fun one. It's called a bounty tournament. And so you knock somebody out, and they have a sheet of paper, and you get a bounty, and maybe you get $50 or $500. Or I believe I read this correctly, someone won $1 million bounty by knocking out somebody today. And from live reporting of it, the winner seemed somewhat unfazed by winning the $1 million. Rather odd. I'd be celebrating.
Next in Steve Fezzik's notes, of course, the random. We get inside his brain, and this is what the notes look like. Next up, Barry's Circa Steakhouse Legacy Club at Circa Rooftop. Go ahead.
I'm giving away the secret here. Everyone's going to get angry to me. So, bestest Friday night ever. Dustin, you've probably done this, right?
What's funny, my best friend's visiting, and on Friday we are going to Barry's and then Legacy Club this coming Friday.
That's spot on. I'd get some reservations now. So Barry's is awesome. It's in Circa. It's in the basement by Vegas Vicky and the big neon sign. And so you want a nightcap after a great evening, and it's very hip, very loud in Barry's. You want to go up to the Legacy Club. That's on the rooftop of Circa. And here's the great thing. The Plaza folks have been nice enough to shoot off fireworks at 9:15 every Friday night all summer long. And when you're at the Legacy Club upstairs, they have fantastic cocktails. You can go out in your outdoors and you can see those fireworks going off while you're imbibing a adult cocktail. It's as good as it gets. At 9:15, the weather's down from 100 degrees to like 85. There's even like the air conditioning's blowing out from the bar. Patrick, I'm not a big partier, but I don't know why everyone isn't at Legacy Club every Friday night at 9:15.
Well, some would argue, based on the last 2 Friday appearances, you are a big partier because you came after having imbibed, which is all good. We love the loose lip Fezzik. Here's a question to follow up, because you also have there at Circa Stadium Swim. Has Fez ever put on a swimsuit and jumped in?
That's a great question. I did wear a swimsuit, and I did not go in when I was at Bet Bash. I considered it. You know, frankly, I don't know. The really, really crowded pools creep me out a little bit. Am I the only one? You know, you've got people with the fear of public bathrooms. Dustin, do you have a fear of public pools?
Steve, I took a dump at Ozfest 2001. I can do anything.
Since the Caddyshack and the Baby Ruth incident with Bill Murray, I'm very worried. Yes.
It's not even a joke. Walked into that bathroom, there was more stuff on the floor, like up to, the rubber part of your sneaker, it was up to there.
Yeah.
Yep. Fez, I'll save you. But the pause is perfect. Next up, why is it time to start budgeting for fall contests?
You know, the contests are so good, and like Circa famously has their guarantees. Now, the 10 million survivor guarantee, they're going to blow right through that. But the 6 million millions guarantee, they are probably, I don't know if they're going to make it or not. And so the bottom line is it's going to be no rake. It's 100%. Look at Vegas. You're walking through. They are nickel and diming you like crazy. That one green on the roulette wheel, it's turning into 3 greens. So the house edge is going from 5.2 to 7.8% famously. And, I'll write a book one day. But, the Westgate used to be like the place for all the football contests. That was the contest, and nothing else was even close. And they raised the rake to, I think it was 7% or something. And Circa came in, Derek Stevens came in, Mike Palm, forget that. We're not going to have no rake. We're even going to have an overlay. And seemingly overnight, they just took over the neighborhood. And Circa became the contest. And everyone knows Circa is the world championship now. That's all that really matters, just because of the volume. Being able to play, imagine a poker tournament, World Series of Poker, no good. They're raking 15%, 13%, 9%, depending upon the buy-ins. That's not a good deal. This is the ultimate deal. No rake. Got to get in.
You're the best. A few weeks ago, and this is why you're the best, you came on and you said, look, you got to get on the Celtics now. They were minus 130 to win a championship. And for new bettors, think about what he was trying to tell you. Their path to the finals was very easy. And now if you like the Celtics, you got to lay 210. So
yeah.
Good job by you. Did you want to follow up there before I ask you about game one?
Well, it just depending upon how much you bet. And obviously, I got lucky that the not only did the cupcakes did the Boston get a bunch of cupcakes, but they got injured cupcakes as well. So an easy path. I'm a big believer that when in doubt, I like to not hedge fully, but I like to make minor hedges. So I'm like, all right, I need Boston, so I got to be betting me some Dallas in some way, shape, or form. I'm not really sure the optimal way whether I want to take Dallas plus 195 in a little bit, to win now, or selectively play Dallas in game 1, game 2, etc. In the games that I like them. But I'll certainly, I think that this is the pricing is more being based upon year-to-date performance. If you look at these two teams since February, I'm not sure there's much that differentiates the two teams at all, other than Boston having home court.
You said, let me make a case for why Boston 6.5 minus 110 is a horrible bet in game 1.
Yeah, don't make terrible bets. And Boston minus 6.5, minus 110 is indeed a terrible bet. Why? Not because of any handicap I'm going to, put in. Although I do prefer Dallas a little bit at 6.5. I don't know if it's enough to get there though, laying $1.10. But I was just looking at one of the betting exchanges, and I saw, what's this? If I want to bet Boston on this betting exchange, I don't have to lay any vig. I can get plus 105 at plus 6.5 Boston. Now, think about this. Boston's painted 6.5 everywhere. They're a 6.5 point favorite. Yet I can play Boston minus 6.5 plus 105. If I can make that for a substantial wager, there is no way that Boston minus 6.5 minus $1.10 can be a good wager. Now, does that make Dallas a good bet? Maybe, maybe not. Because on that same exchange, Dallas was plus 6.5, lay 108. So I can bet them at laying less than minus $1.10. Bottom line is, when there's one big game, Super Bowl, NBA Finals, it's almost always both bets are terrible. And then you have all these people who are paid to give their opinions. Well, what are they supposed to say? Well, the line is right, so don't bet anything. Well, that's boring. So they give out who they like. But most games, there is no right side or wrong side. It's just the bookies scooping up all the money at minus $1.10, and that's why selectively some books can deal minus 105. But even with these betting exchanges, it's even more attractive. But boy, these exchanges right now are really swaying towards the Mavericks being the right side game one.
And now for the bookend, Berries to Legacy Club, and here's what you can see at Legacy Club at night. From Steve Fezzik's Twitter. And there it is, as we go to break, the fireworks show atop of Vegas, Legacy Club Circa. That's a tremendous job by everybody in the back. And Fez, that's a great look right there.
That's your best bet to take a young lady out, Dustin, on a Friday night. Yes.
Oh, I'm 3 for 3 bringing them there.
Hopefully she shows up. We're coming back with your questions answered by professional bettor Steve Fezzik next.
Always email us questions. Also on Twitter at The Rap Radios. Steve retweeted our little initial message out there to get people to reply. We've got a bunch today that we have to go over this afternoon, Steve. So I want to hit you with a bunch of questions. Some of them are actually related, which is nice. So the first one, and sharpmoney at vsin.com is the email. First one comes in from Brett in Springfield, Tennessee. He says, we can easily understand line value as it pertains to getting the best line on a game, but as basketball winds down and football's a couple months away, can you help us understand value betting money line sports like baseball, tennis, golf, etc.? He knows the point spread is a great equalizer because if I take a dog, I can lose the game but win my bet. So basically wants to know about the implied value and attacking money lines in other sports.
Yeah, so I'm a huge proponent of turning the money line into a no-vig number. That no-vig is everything. Yep. So if one team is like minus 160 and the other team is plus 140, you say, what's the line, Fez? I would say the no-vig line is minus 150, meaning in a betting exchange, no-vig, minus 150 for the favorite, plus 150 for the dog. If I think the favorite's going to win more than 60% of the time, that's a good bet. If I think the dog is going to win more than 40% of the time at plus 150, that's a good bet. So I smudge everything, I take out the vig and say, here's the no-vig number.
So it becomes like a no-tax type deal.
Yeah, and I think like the whale capper does. He says my fair value. He never explains what he's talking about, which I wish he would, but he's correct. I think maybe he would argue, well, it's obvious what I'm talking about, Steve. When I say my fair number is the same as a no-vig number.
All right, we've got some more emails. So I think
do you mind if I jump in really?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I jump in really quickly? You there, big guy?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So, Fez, let me run this by you. And you don't have DraftKings in Vegas yet, so you may not have seen this bet. But Mike Somich was combing through the Mariners-Angels game from yesterday. And the Mariners were hosting the Angels. Mariners won 5-1. So he goes to the game information, and he sees that the money line on the Mariners is minus 210. Okay? Run line, Mariners laying a 1.5 plus 110. And then DraftKings offered this bet. Mariners to bat in the bottom of the ninth. Yes is plus 110. No is minus 130. Obviously, they didn't. What Somich's initial blush was, and I'd love to get your take, was that 210 money line, but the no bet to bat in the bottom of the ninth at minus 130, that 80-cent difference seems steep. What's your take?
Yeah, it seems ridiculously mispriced. I would say that's a no-brainer. You know, I'm kind of doing this on the fly, but if I think about what the price is, let me simplify things. I'm basically betting what is the score going to be after 8.5 innings, right? And on the run line, I know I can resurrect. People are going to yell at me for like, Fezzik, you can win in 12 innings. The home team can win by more than one. All right, yeah, and the sun and the meteorite could strike the stadium also. It's unlikely, all right? So after 8.5 innings, when I bet the run line, I'm basically betting the home team -1.5 because if they're only up one or tied, I'm really screwed, and I need like almost an act of God to get there with the home run when there's only like one home run being hit per game lately. So would I rather lay -0.5 or -1.5? Well, you can see -0.5 is a lot more attractive. In fact, 3 times more attractive. So, like at first blush, I would say, gosh, laying a half, I think should be closer to the -210 number than the +110 number. And that would, if I just took the midpoint, it would be Seattle -0.5, -155. So
that's exactly what Samich had.
Yeah,
-155.
Yeah, and I think it should be even a little bit higher. Now, it can happen. The home team can win, especially with the ghost man on second with the home run. So, fine. Split the difference. Take it in the middle. And I think -155 looks a little high. And if -155 looks a little high, -130 is really, really indeed cheap.
And it's an opportunity to get down on these heavy favorites.
Well, let me just say, this is why, Steve, you're brilliant. We didn't run that scenario by him. He just immediately his brain started in action. And Samich, who's watching right now, wanted to get your answer on that. So Samich, your initial instinct was right. His initial reaction was, yeah, that 80-cent difference doesn't add up. Now, let me ask you a follow-up. Have you heard of this bet before? Because this is DraftKings, by my knowledge, is the only one offering.
I've heard of it. I've never actively priced it because I'm not in a DraftKings state. But kudos to Samich. And this is like great betting 101. You want to find proxy bets for bets you already like. So let's say you like Seattle, and probably what happened here, and why wouldn't you like Seattle? Because the god-awful Angels can't play a lick even with Mike Trout, and now they don't have him. So Seattle probably steamed and went from, I'm guessing, -195, and they went up to -210, and that is a very, very efficient line, the money line at most books. However, these derivative bets, such as the first 5 innings, such as, the -1/2 type of bets, will a team lead after 8.5 innings, are much more, although they're proxies for the other type of bets, they're not exactly the same. They're so correlated that oftentimes you'll see a line steam, and those lines will move slower or not at all. And I love Samich getting at them with alternative bets like this. One of my favorite proxies I'll share is the runs, hits, errors prop. So if a total goes from 8 up to 9.5, St. Louis Philly, the total steamed upwards on Sunday Night Football, but the runs, hits, errors prop stayed at 26.5 at some books. So boom, instead of playing over 9.5 when it went from 8 3/4 to 9.5, you could play over 26.5 for runs, hits, errors, and oftentimes get at bets that you like, the market steamed before you were able to bet them.
Well, Samich says thank you. He's thrilled to get your response on that, and great job by you, Steve. Let's go back to the emails. Questions for the pro. Of course, Steve Fezzik, sharpmoney@vsin.com. Go ahead, big guy.
Got an email in. Todd Barzilay. I like that last name. I always bet to risk rather than to win. What is Steve's philosophy on that?
So I believe that your swing versus win versus loss should be, I've spoken about it, bet different amounts when you really love a bet. But your basic bet size, 2% of bankroll is my bet size. So I bet 220 to win 200 if you have a $10,000 bankroll, 2% of bankroll, okay? That's a $420 swing. So what happens if you're betting a big favorite? You're laying -300? I'd recommend you have a $400 swing. So if you're betting the Dodgers against Colorado, risk 300 to win 100. If you're betting a big underdog, an MMA, like a plus 300 dog, risk 100 to win 300. You see where I'm going? The bottom line is when that game goes final, it's going to be a $400 swing in what you have in your pocket at the end of the day. So I would recommend you keep that same swing as your baseline bet.
Beautiful. We do have a bit of breaking news. Sources are reporting that Padres infielder Marcano is facing a potential lifetime ban for betting after he allegedly placed bets while injured on the Pirates last year. So again, with regulation, these type of situations get sussed out. I don't know if you two have a response, but it looks like a Padres infielder could potentially face a lifetime ban for betting. Response, boys?
shouldn't it be just make it a felony for like stupidity for like these why can't they just have like a big conference and instead of explaining the evils of everything, you're not going to win gambling anyways, and you can throw away your career. Tell all these pro athletes, don't gamble on anything. I don't care if it's like the Sigma Derby.
I'm not a legal expert by any means. You all know this. But it does feel like there's a legal element of like conspiring against multi-billion-dollar corporations and good there should be something larger on the other end, obviously, coming when this happens, other than just the ban, right? Like the legal process paying out what's on the line here, like it gets ugly for these guys. And it's always these guys that are like on fringe major leaguers, fringe NBA players, back and forth to the G League that are always the ones getting caught, other than Shohei Ohtani.
But this isn't a fringe player. And back to the Shohei, what I can't stand is I'm still waiting if that Alabama coach that told his dude, to bet because his key pitcher was out. Did he commit a crime? I haven't heard anything. Is he being prosecuted?
That is unique because it's college. That makes that one so much more difficult.
But I don't even know if this is against the law to do things like this. Obviously it's against the regs of of the major leagues. But I'm just amazed that, like I said, all of this the downside is so great, and you're not going to win. Pete Rose has shown you that. You're all going to lose. Just stop, unless you're Porter and you're betting on inside information. Then you might go to jail.
On yourself.
Yes.
Well, no, but you said it perfectly. The risk-reward just comes down to a lack of intelligence. Like, the reward will never outweigh the risk you're making as an infielder for the Padres. That's just an intelligence bet right there.
If you're going to cheat, just do it the old-fashioned way and take steroids.
Well put, Dustin, I think. I don't know. All right, we'll continue. We've got a ton, including Will Hill's got a question he wants answered by Steve Fezzik. And your questions, we continue with those. Remember, you can email us, sharpmoney@vsin.com. More with Fez next. We have so many questions coming in for Steve Fezzik from you. Dustin, let's get right back to it.
All right, this goes for baseball. Sportsbook is from Gretchen Deichmiller. A sportsbook offers a baseball bet where if the team you bet is up by 2 runs at any point during the game, your bet wins, even if your team loses the game. Would you agree that it's advantageous to bet a visiting team since that team is batting first every inning?
Absolutely. So, Gretchen, fantastic question.
Great job, Gretchen.
Ideally, you want to bet on a Colorado game, right, where the total is 12, because I don't know how much this is going to really help you to bet like we referenced the Angels-Seattle game. I don't think the Angels are going to score 2 runs, so how are they going to get up 2 runs? Whereas it's not unusual at all if you have 2 lousy teams playing in Colorado that a team gets ahead 4-1 and then ultimately the final score is 11-9. So yes, you must bet a visitor and you want a high total game.
What a great question. Just really sharp and just corroborated by Steve. That was awesome. Great job, Gretchen. Who's next, Dustin?
All right, sharpmoney@vsin.com. Bill Rainwater. I'm mostly a football bettor and want to start betting more baseball, but the everyday nature has always intimidated me, and it feels like you have to pay attention every single day. How should I approach betting baseball versus football? Should I cut down on my unit size?
Nick Bogdanovich once said famously, if you're going to bet baseball, you better have a whiskey and a revolver next to you when you're making the bets because it will drive you crazy keeping up on everything. So, my strategy would be I'd have go-to pitchers. We got one going today. Your Detroit Tigers, I like to call them skee ball. That game, that game where you roll the ball down and you try to get into the 50 and you really should go for the 40 because it's so unlikely. But in skee ball...
Of course he's using math to play skee ball.
In skee ball, we trust, baby. I play Mr. Skee-Ball first 5 innings because Detroit can't hit a lick. And it's not unusual. They're going to get 1 run in the first 5 and 1 run the rest of the game, perhaps. But 1 run should be safe enough because dude usually gives up only 1 run in the first 5 innings. So I'm on Detroit. Put me down on the sheet. I think it's currently minus 120. First 5 innings, want no part of Detroit. That's of no consequence for me. Whether they win, they just got to win the first 5 innings. So where I'm going here is have basic strategy. If you don't have much time and you haven't bet baseball before, hey, Kansas City, Ragans is pitching. I probably mispronounced it. We're going to go with him. Pretty much blind all the time. There's certain pitchers that you just fall in love with that you want to go ahead and back.
Under 3.5?
And also
no, just Detroit first
Detroit
5,
to win.
minus 120. First 5 innings. Yes.
And also it's actually good that you mispronounced the pitcher's name because it proves more of what you do, which is you find systems and you don't even really care who the player is. You just care of the player, and then you fire into your system like the schoolboy bet. Okay, Dustin, I'm going to ask Will's because he'll get mad at me. I didn't ask it last week. So you have another one ready from a listener. Will says, let's see, this is for you. He said, ask Fez what tied into his prep for football season if you get a chance. So what's tied into his prep for football season?
Gosh, I try to listen to as many betting podcasts from guys like Will Hill. And Will Hill listens to my podcast, so this seems to be very circular. I don't know how we're going to learn anything, but he has this should have bet more. But inevitably, you pick up on things, and like one nugget, like we all know now, is this, the Bengals get to play 3 really crappy fourth-place teams. I mean, you get the advantage they finish 4th to get a 4th-place schedule, but then all 4th-place teams are not created equal. They don't have to play the Bengals. They don't have to play the Chargers. They get to play the Patriots, and they get to play the Titans, and they get to play the Panthers. So they get garbage fourth-place teams. So stuff like that, looking at the schedules, I will say this, one gem in college football, all this realignment, I think you can go to town, teams like Stanford and teams like USC and UCLA, and just right now look at their schedule and outline. When do these poor guys have to play at Rutgers or fly across the country and just outline really, really bad spots because they're going to be there.
Beautiful. Okay, let's get back to it. Sharp Money. Thank you, Will Hill, for your question. Should have bet more is the podcast. Sharp Money at VSiN.com. Go ahead, big guy.
Mitch writes in on Twitter. This is getting TMZ-ish here. I have some inside information on a quarterback that had a baby during the season last year. The information is nowhere to be found on the internet. Side note, the QB is coming off a down year. Fezzik, is there any way I can utilize the info to gain an edge, or is it useless intel?
Well, you'll have to email me what the intel is. That's
you had a baby.
At Fezzik. Had a baby's not going to help me very much because what famously dude from the Chargers had like 16 of them.
Cromartie.
And no.
Phillip Rivers.
Mr. Rivers. He can field his own football team now. I'll say this. As a father of one child, hey, the mom does 99% of the work. But one guy once asked me, Will Hill, I'll throw him under the bus. Like we talked about diapers, and like I mentioned, I actually enjoyed changing diapers. He looked at me like I was from Mars. Like, what are you doing, Steve? It's like me. It's like me. It's like me, being in the bathroom. Who cares? But different people like I was exhausted. It actually impacted my betting for like 2 years. Just that disruption of my routine.
Oh yeah.
With having just one child at home, I can only imagine people that like have 3 and 4 children.
Can't time it out. Can't plan for when it's going to happen.
So much for man-to-man defense. We're going zone now. Yes.
Call Jim Boeheim. I heard you're upset about the WNBA.
Oh, I am. This is at all levels. So, the WNBA, in my opinion, is a pretty lousy product, and I'm not that very interested in it, although I like profiting betting in it. And so they get thrown a lifeline. Here you go, Caitlin Clark, and she is bringing all this revenue into the league, and the rising tide lifts all boats. And then what's this? Petty jealousy. People smashing her, with these hard fouls. People on the bench. Angel Reese jumps up cheering like. I mean, can you imagine if someone did that in the NBA and LeBron James jumped up? It is like so classless, and like I'd almost be like, I'm going to put a note out to every endorsement company: do not give Angel Reese a deal in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan, but I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, this behavior. Who would ever give any endorsement for a gal other than, I guess, MMA fighting? So boycott Angel Reese and shut up and play basketball and appreciate someone who's helping you and all your co-workers make lots more money.
Now, you may not be a big WNBA fan, but you are constantly hunting inefficiencies. Have you been betting the WNBA?
Spot better, and I did bet against the Indiana Fever. I think this goes back to, we talk about a basic bet size of 2% of bankroll. I know I'm past posting, but I gave it out before the season started. Indiana Fever were over-under as high as 21.5 games for their over-under. They're like 2-9. All right, and they were lined to be an above 500 team. Why? Because Caitlin Clark was such a public darling that the bookmakers knew we were just going to get public money on her and on her team over. Indiana Fever went 13-27 last year, and they're once again lousy this year.
You're active at Fezzik Sports on social. What's pissing you off lately about the industry? Is there something in particular you saw recently that you said, you know what, I got to put out this fire?
Oh, where do we start?
Save us, Fez.
I would say number one, let me talk favorably about the South Point. So the South Point and Benny Binion and the Gahn family always said, give people good gamble, give them good cheap whiskey, give them good odds, and give them a good time. And everything. And that's what the South Point does. They got great blackjack rules. They got good video poker. They got Michael's, one of the best gourmet restaurants out there. You can get a $1.50 hot dog, late night steak and eggs, $6.95. And the Strip has just become so onerously expensive that you go and you get average meals. And just the pricing, and even in town, the Electric Daisy Carnival, in their VIP area, you could get like a 6-pack of Bud for $140, or it was like $20,000 for 6 bottles of Ace of Spades. At some point, reality has to set in. We have to stop gouging all these tourists to the point of no return.
Oh, you're fascinating. You haven't been fighting with anybody on Twitter recently, have you?
I still hate F1. I hate F1. Oh,
It's been like a year.
It's coming back again. This Joey Knish. I don't know. He's like every.
Are you guys friends or not? I can't tell.
Who knows? He's like he calls me out. I give out Michigan. By the way, put me down for Michigan under 9 wins. And he goes, that's a really stupid bet for Blue Horseshoe. And I'm like, hey, you know how to get a hold of me, Joey? You want to go 1-on-1? You know where I'm at. Still waiting to hear. Brad Powers can hold the money. I'll put it up. Still waiting to hear from Joey Marbles Knish.
Match bet. Fez will put up his cash. You put up yours. Mano y mano. Who's better than you? Pregame.com, Fezzik Sports on Twitter. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Fez.
Scott Spreitzer.